We're here at the lovely Art of the Billy Green is Dead album, the new album.
Is it an album launch? Is it a gallery? Is it an exhibition?
To me, it's an art exhibition. But it's an opportunity also to promote the album.
Promote the album.
Here, and do things like this, man. So we got a little backdrop, you know.
For real, man. I love how you kind of done each track individually. I can't remember the time anyone else has done that, man. So a nice bit of innovation there in the game. It's always welcome, man. 100%. What was the catalyst that made you think, right, it's 2017, I need to drop an album?
Do you know what? It's not even like that because it takes the process is so long. Okay. You know, really, even regardless of the musical process, the process of putting a release out the way you want to do it. So if you're doing it independently and you're doing it yourself, it's going to take you a long time. Especially you want to get all that content, artwork, videos, get the mixes right. You're working with different producers and different vocalists, different musicians. But then even if you're going to go outside and do it with someone else, then you're going to spend a lot of time trying to find the right person, the right label, the right situation, make sure that they're doing what you actually need them to be doing. So it's not even a matter of like I'm holding back stuff and I'm like, oh, now it's the time people to have it. It's more like I knew that, you know, I mean, you're always under pressure to some extent to deliver music if that's what you're doing, you know, professionally. You're out here, so.
And what was
I wasn't in a framework. I never really sat down and I didn't really approach this album as an album until I was finishing it.
Right. Okay.
I didn't know I had an album.
Okay.
I had a lot of unfinished projects. So there's like one of the main producers on the album is Paul White.
Paul White.
Yeah.
People don't know.
Bit ridiculously talented guy. And very prolific with his output. He's got a lot of music out there. Go check him out. He's got a lot.
Cross genres, isn't it? Like
Danny Brown.
Yeah, and also, you know, a lot of time people don't know. You know, I've been like, even last night I was saying to people, oh yeah, no, you know, they're like, oh sorry, I don't know who he is. I'm like, check the Danny Brown stuff, Open Mike Eagle, Golden Rules.
Speaking of,
but that was meant to be a project. Originally, I was trying to do a project with him as a contained project. I was trying to do a similar thing with a producer in Australia called M Phases, and so spending a couple of years where I was kind of trying to do these producer-led projects that weren't really coming together. Yeah. Probably more to do with me, and I'm not used to working in a way where like I'm just on email. And it's all quite. I'm like hands-on because I produce.
From what I've known,
well, I make beats.
I've always been known
to
actually just come in. You know what I mean? Like basically, come to the lab. You know, we got to be in the lab together. You get me? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, you got to be. You know, I'm just from that. I'm from that, and
organically more.
Yeah, and that's still what makes it fun for me, and also what makes the where you get the best material from.
But the thing.
So do you see what I mean? I just had a lot of.
You had a lot of tracks and you made an album, but they're all, there's a theme in it, there's a theme running through it.
But the theme came,
making it genius, bro.
But the theme came together really through sitting down with Beat Butcher, like just sitting in the studio with him and just being like bro, I need someone, but you know, needing someone with a certain kind of perspective, because at the end of the day, his approach to production now is at a very different.
He's a musician, man.
He's a musician now. He's gone there. Like, he's a well-rounded. You know,
he made like the beats I make are just literally ridiculous because of him now. So like, I know he's different, and I feel
it's an ear, and it's been a certain, and also like a certain point of involvement. Like certain people, if you're going to sit down and say, you know, I need you on board for this project, their attitude is going to be, well, I didn't make the beats, or I didn't do this, or I want to get my, you know, the idea of like, they don't have, their ego's not already invested in it. But for him, he's at a point right now where he will sit down and critique music and add to music and build on music. You know, his production process, he mastered isolated home production, if that's the way you want to call it. Like,
how do you mean isolated?
Like one man sitting there, you're just sitting there on your J's, doing your thing. got your little drink or your zoot or whatever it is you do, your little process.
Yeah.
Some man be lighting the incense and all that. I know Butcher ain't doing that.
Yeah.
But you know, and then you get your shit down. But then there's another level which is collaborative studio process.
Yeah.
And if when you're in the studio you're not writing and recording vocals, you're directing the vocals, you're directing the music, you're collabing with the other producers and adding a bass line to someone else's drum pattern, or even changing the hi-hat on someone's pattern, or their and it's you know, and also you start letting go of the ego at that point. Like, oh, this isn't going to say produced by me. So Beat Butcher is credited as executive producer with me. He's actually got one production on the album, but then he's got like 3 or 4 joints that he actually added production to, and then he also produced the whole thing, because the whole direction of the songs that are there that make up the album are based on his, you know, me and him going back and forth, stuff that he was feeling, and then even certain things that maybe he wasn't feeling, but it made me fight for them. So then that gave me clarity, because sometimes you don't have clarity on your own creative vision. You're like, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be putting out these songs, going in this direction, going in that direction? So then when someone else comes, it's like a sounding board to bounce.
Right. Okay.
So once that happens, then you're able to say, all right, cool, you like that, what, you don't like that? And then you have to suddenly get opinionated about your own stuff. You can't be, do you know what I mean, looking for direction, because it makes you fight for the ones that you actually think are good. And then I started to see like you say, really, trying to answer the question you're actually asking, the concept. That's when the concept starts to come together, because it's like, what links these songs? Out of the joints that are in this short list of songs, what links these songs? And for me, 44th Floor was something that was always like stood out, because I don't really write quite abstract. That is quite, the song 44th Floor is abstract, but there's a narrative in it. There's a clear,
well, that's what I was going to
kind
ask
of
you
character
about, man.
depiction.
Is it like, obviously you've got some pretty graphic lyrics on there.
Tell the tale. Still I'm feeling like my life's a major fail. Standing on the platform waiting for British rail. Throw myself on the tracks like I do with these raps. Where the drugs at, a brother gotta relax.
Is it like a self-criticism type thing where you're like taking a dig at yourself? Is it like self-critique and you're reflecting on yourself, or is it more of just like painting a picture generally? Yeah, like,
you know what I mean? Like
I have the lyrics written down, like the British roll, throw myself on a track like I do on a beat, on a
yeah. I mean, that track is like, because that track wasn't recorded to be part of a concept album. That track was just a track, right? So it was written from a very like tongue-in-cheek, self-deprecating, self-critiquing. But to me, it's hilarious.
So it is tongue-in-cheek in a sense. Like,
like to me, 44 Floor is hilarious.
a dope track, man.
To me, it's hilarious. That's why like all the ad-libs on there are like, you know, me, I'm just busting joke and doing like sound effects that don't even sound like what they're meant to be the sound effect for. Because I was just catching jokes. Like we recorded that in CY's yard.
Oh, for real?
Like that was recorded in my man's crib, like in the mic booth that's kind of like
in the corner,
kind of in his kitchen.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of in the kitchen.
I see.
And then they still record from the front room. But you know, he's all high tech, so you take the iPad.
But that's dope. But that's dope. See,
Jaeger recorded that for me. And that was done on like, that was a day off, like recording. That was like
joking around. You weren't even on like, let's make a banger, let's make a lead single
I
for the album.
I wasn't in the studio. It was like I was living in those ends at the time. Jaeger was doing a lot of work at CY's at the time.
When was this? 2016?
No, longer ago. Like, I mean, there's songs on this album that I mean, something like Household Name that people are probably thinking is a kind of reflection of what's current now in terms of like the sound.
Sound, yeah.
We've been sitting on that since like
we've
been sitting on that since like Dragon album, like probably like around that time, maybe a little bit after. And that's meant to be on the Jaeger album that never got finished. That's meant to be on a Jaeger's album, Midnight Lounge.
Okay.
So that song has been sat on. I mean, it's developed now and changed. You know what I mean in terms of the production. But the raw element of that track, the beat, the bars, the hook, all the recording, nothing got re-recorded. That's been there since probably 2009, 2010.
The vocals are 44 Floor, yeah?
No, Household Name.
Household Name, sorry, yeah.
44 Floor is maybe like. Hold up. When was I in Northsides? When was I in Northsides? Before. Hold up. When was I there? After Dragon, so yeah, maybe like 3, 4 years. Nah, maybe not that long. 44 Floor probably recorded like maybe 3 years ago. So
it was like 2 hours.
Longer than that.
With these tracks, I'm
an old man now.
Did they ever collect dust in your brain though? Did they ever collect dust?
No, but that's what I mean. They all collect dust, but it's the ones that. That's what I mean. Once you go through that process, you know, it's like, oh, this stands out. This is. There's a link, there's a no, but there's a no, but then the joints that are the new joints are the ones that are making sense of the narrative on the album.
Bringing them together.
So Billy Green's theme at the start of the album, Billy Green is alive at the end of the album.
Good Robot.
No, Good Robot is an older joint. Good Robot, like that beat, that beat's a 2500 beat. That beat's a beat that, like, do you know where I made that beat? I made that beat.
Whitechapel.
No, not that old, but you know what? That beat, the beat was called Lab Cherry. And you know what it was called Lab Cherry? Because it was busting the cherry in the lab. Camberwell.
Oh, wow.
So this is Camberwell. This is going back. This is
like albums. That's first, second time around.
Studio.
Akai was done there.
Dragon was kind of he was like released when we were there. This is going back. So what else? No, good night. Literally just the intro, the outro. Johnstown was a kind of newer song. Getting Eric Biddens on
Eulogy. This is one of my favourite joints.
No, Eulogy's been around for a hot minute, man. Eulogy was collecting dust, definitely collecting dust.
That's mad. Like the production on that is mad, like atmospheric as well, man. Do you know what I mean? That's what I liked about that.
Smoke screen as well, man. Like.
That was recorded. That was done around the time that the Kubrick album was getting recorded. Sting of the Dog.
Makes a lot of sense now.
Like just around that time. It was a different session. It wasn't the same session. It was done around that time. That's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother story.
I love that joint though.
I love it as well, man. Like
I really love that joint. Then you know more likely to.
I really love that song, man.
Just put me a video for that at some point soon.
But I mean, the narrative of Good Robot and certain things, bro, it's all relatable, isn't it? Like I wanted to see, like, as he's saying, the narrative. Is it a Gil Scott Heron?
The title, yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, but the thing was so fucked up. But bro, this was so fucked up on bugging, like, your family and everything. You know, my son's got that, but bro, like, bugging me out, bro. Billy, that's sick, like.
You know, I mean, what
it's sick, bro.
Confucius, his take on it is that it's like a Jack Nicholson movie where, like, Jack Nicholson plays you're still Jack Nicholson. He was like, it's Billy Green, but you're playing Billy Green. Like, it's a version of a character with music. But you know, anyone is Billy Green. That's the point of Billy Green. Like, you know, that's how I see it. Billy Green is anybody, because anybody can be at their lowest point or at their highest point. Anyone can be, like, do you
see
know
that
what I mean?
song? Like, as I said, I mentioned Good Robot a couple of times because that song was really relatable to myself.
Alright.
Bruv, like, real talk, like.
You never heard that one?
I heard it once before, but I didn't really, like, it didn't really marinate, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, you heard it when you heard the album, you never heard it back.
Bruv, no, I heard the beat, and I think maybe the first verse. I didn't hear the chorus.
So
but I didn't, you know what I mean? But I mean, like, when I hear it now, it's like, wow, whoa, like, I'm living this, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, the ones there was a couple of joints in this album. I just,
you know what?
wow. Like, wow.
Do you feel like it's now? Because I feel like almost now, like we're almost, our society we're living in now is almost beyond this album. Like I almost feel like this album is like set in 2010 or something. Like I feel like shit is even more fucked up than what I'm describing. I mean, it depends how you choose to read it.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Yeah.
You choose to look at it as negative.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily see it in that way. But if you're looking at it in that way, like, oh, this is very like critical of society and people's values, and do you really think it's this bad? Actually, no, I think it's far worse.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was going to say, a lot of people don't realise that they are in this whole thing where they're going to be thankful for being a consumer.
Right.
Be thankful to be a consumer in this liberal, society, and it's like people got it twisted where they think it's like this false sense of freedom that we have is actually within the boundaries that they want you to live in. You're free.
Even
Try and step out of those boundaries and it gets a bit sticky. You get me? So
you're free to enjoy the theme park. You know
that's
what I mean?
it. Yeah. Exit through the gift shop. You know what I mean?
It is that.
For real. Yeah.
It is that.
Both of us would like to ask you this. What does the devil's actually?
Symbology.
Yeah, what's the
Symbolism.
That is down to Matty. That's down to Matt Lifter. That's down to the artist who did the
But
album
something
artwork.
stuck out.
You chose that though, like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wasn't what he got from it.
Because really, it's there's not really any icon on the cover.
I see this guy as the icon. I don't know who that dude
No,
is, but he's the rapper, man.
But what I mean is, this guy, he's in a
He's
window.
trapped.
You
Yeah.
can't see the whole guy. You can't like just cut him out and use him as a symbol, an icon, like a symbol like that. And I always try to be conscious of, I've stuck with my logo for a long time, very brand conscious. And
You didn't do it on that one.
But you know what's, it's kind of funny because
Don't even say Jehst on there. That's
exactly. But that's why what makes
Only says
He's saying it's like the
but that makes
rebirth.
it more
Only says
important.
at the back
It makes
and the
it-
side, that's
right.
it.
And so that makes it even more important because
Album by Jehst.
that
On the front though, you would have known.
that's what represents the project. You feel me?
So is it like a rock and roll thing of like devil in a sense of being against what is good, in a sense of talking about being that person that doesn't conform to the rules which we're given, and that's what the devil represents, like my sinister, like against the grain type element.
I feel what you're saying. Yeah, it kind of does, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm co-signing that.
Right.
Do you feel?
You're not a
feel
devil
me?
worshipper.
Me personally,
I feel like I'm so right now.
I mean, listening to the album, this is what I love about it, is because everyone can have their own diagnosis and how the album relates to them in their own life. That's what I think is heavy about it. Not many people do lyrical records or records or even people trying to be bait and trying to look into your life and shit like that. Like, not to actually live.
Well, look, if I was to read-
This is about me.
I mean,
what I got was like it was about a person trying to do good, trying to do the good thing,
Right.
and then the fucking whole world just ate them alive, bro.
So
That's
it's
what
almost
I got.
like
Literally.
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I got, and then I look to me like and then relatable, like oh, you know, we've got our vices, we've got our devils out, it's crazy.
But see, that's why if you look at it, there's a trajectory. Because really, by the end of the album, it's not that.
Yeah.
You know, it
Come to a
might be tragic.
realization.
It might be tragic, but it's being celebrated. This person is celebrated by the end. You know what I mean? That to me says a lot about our society as well.
So is there any messages of rebirth in it?
You know, yeah, definitely. But you know what? I just wanted to wheel back because actually it is deep. The symbolism of the character, this character, because it's actually funny how things work out. Because this project has been going for a long time. I mean, the cover was one of the first pieces of art that was like, I seen it, I was like, that's the cover. Do you know what I mean? Like Matt sent it, that's the cover.
Jumped out, yeah.
Straight away, that's the cover. Then we kind of went through, we spent a lot longer getting the whole set. And the funny thing is, in the time that has passed from us working on, or Matt working on that image, because of working on the Dolph Lundgren artwork, working on the Reel It In. No, but this is what I'm saying. For me, working on Dolph Lundgren, working on Reel It In, doing the tour flyer for when me and Lee Scott was doing a couple of shows. So Matt was involved, did the art for all of those joints. So off the back of those, he's done the Strange You cover. You know, all those Strange You, all the single,
the new album,
he's done a bunch of work for Lee Scott and Blah Records and offshoots, you know what I mean, of like, because Lee's got all these different projects. And then now by the time this project's actually come around, I was saying this to people, I was like, and it didn't occur to me till the last minute, I was like, oh yo, this is like some 616, this looks like some Blah, like, Devil Gang, you know. But I was like, you know what though, cool, because that's my people's anyway, and it was never even planned like that. And then it's even down to the day that the album dropped. Yesterday the album dropped, and they you know, Cold Mountain were doing their show at Old Blue Last. Do you know what I mean? They had the flyer with like the Friends. The Friends cover, but with like turning to devil character. Yeah, but for me, I'm like, it's kind of crazy how things fit into like a time frame. Like it couldn't be coming out on a better date. It couldn't make more sense. The artwork couldn't make more sense. If people think it's related to this or it's related to that or even more sinister, cool. I think it always works out like that. Now, I mean, you have your ideas of like, I want to drop this then, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, but it happens when it happens. Like, really on some real, like, God shit, you know what I mean? Without really taking it there, but you got to take it there on some real.
I feel that's what I got.
You know,
a sense,
like you know, my dad is deeply religious, and he doesn't believe in coincidence.
I didn't want to get too personal.
I don't want to get too personal.
Like,
but I'm just going to say he doesn't believe in coincidence. He calls it a God incidence. Now, I don't share his beliefs, but I do get that concept, because whatever you choose to call your God, whether it's just nature or the universe or whatever,
there's
you
one
know
bar
what I
on
mean?
there talking about
you can't predict this
the
stuff,
random
bro.
theory and that,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, like it's,
Chaos theory.
everything
There
was
random.
that's so like I feel. Bro, this album here, like,
it's spiritual. It's not.
that's
like,
what I was gonna say. I was gonna get to
spiritual,
bro.
baby.
It's like this is like your Kendrick Lamar damn beat, like you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
That, I mean, that's
real
even
talk,
funny
like,
because again, I couldn't even have predicted.
exactly.
I couldn't have predicted
because you were
that.
putting that together before any
I was
of that
putting
stuff.
that together. Do you know what? I was putting this album together throughout the process of like but this whole Kendrick thing, because you know what? Wow, amazing artist. And I would definitely, you know what I mean? It'd be wrong of me to say that there's no influence. You know what I mean? I'm influenced by everything that I'm a fan of.
The music on
but
here
it's deep because
is way older than
But that's
anything.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
But
So it kind of wipes that out.
Well, it's not a reaction to Damn. It's probably more a reaction to like Good Kid, in the sense of if you're going to take anything on board from how somebody's putting an album together. And the funny thing was, the funny thing is, okay, just seeing, you know, because you've said it, so let's just talk about it. When the joint was being worked on, one of the ideas of putting it into a narrative structure was based on Good Kid. It was based on the game, the documentary.
Okay.
It was based on any album, and I think actually you really got to give it to Dre, because Dre's been doing this for years. Where there's a narrative umbrella over the whole thing.
Yeah.
So the music is already being treated as some other form of entertainment, as a movie, as a book, as a story, rather than just music for the sake of music.
Yeah.
And then once you do that and you bring people, I'm just dropping jewels, I'm giving you jewels. Taking me years to figure this shit out.
You're analysing your own project right
It
here,
took
man.
me years to figure this shit out.
Years
But
of
once
it,
you do that, then you give people an inroad that makes it accessible. And once it's accessible, you can go even further left. You can be even more abstract. Because people are already drawn in and they have a feeling of they understand and they want to understand. They want to understand more. They want to go to the deep end. I'm gonna do a couple laps. Know what I mean?
real, man.
So it's funny for this record. I'm just gonna keep it 100. That album there. Then at the time when I was wrapping the thing up and trying to kind of work out, was it going to go to another label, blah blah blah. That's when certain people that were involved in making the album was kind of like, oh yeah, this will be received well off the back of Pimp a Butterfly, because Pimp a Butterfly was so musical and going in these kind of more like avant-garde directions, more bohemian, which I probably was already that anyway, right? Like, because I'm not like that hood guy. That's a hood guy becoming the bohemian guy, right? I'm already in that. So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then now by the time the thing actually comes out, because the process of getting the shit out just takes so long, now it's finally out. You're sitting here going, oh, it's like Kendrick Lamar's Damn. So it's, you know, I mean,
it is to me, like, I feel that's my kind of
deep.
like, I mean, is in terms of because it's very spiritual. It's very like you look within morality. Maybe I'm looking deeper into it. You know what I'm saying? Because, and then, yeah, you family innit, so it's different innit. Like, speaking of which, before we wrap out and get out of here, so far to go.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Well, that's your favourite joint.
That's my favourite joint right now. I was trying to
see. That's the
between
joint.
That. It was between that and thing, but like that's Paul White killed it.
Yeah, but that could have like never come out because it's so different.
Bro, even the
no,
bars.
but listen,
bro, you made me look in the dictionary, bro. The triatus, bro.
But
what's that? Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like,
you know, there's a sick bit of dialogue in Heat where they make reference to the triatus. Yeah.
So have you got a lot of unreleased material like on your hard drive? Yeah.
Crazy.
Finished tracks.
Years of
that's what I'm saying.
85%.
Do you know what? To what like is just standard nowadays of like.
You probably put more artistry and work into a lot of tracks that are out.
Albums.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think
everybody include like there's music out there.
There's a lot of songs.
No, not out there, but you know what I mean.
But what I'm saying is that song the beat is so different and bug out, and it doesn't really fit into any kind of neat little category. And even people that are into like really off key. I mean, I remember even Chemo when we was recording, and he was just like, "Yo, beat's too much. Like he couldn't get his head around like with the percussion going this way and that way."
Yeah.
This is a guy that makes them, but this is a guy that makes off key. It's not like Chemo makes some
Chemo ain't mainstream.
He don't make straight up boom bap or pop. He makes
conventional music.
He makes left field.
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell you
abstract.
He makes world music.
World music.
Like,
I hate that term, but I know what you mean.
So I was like,
globally appealing.
I could have doubted this joint, but I was like, I love it. Like I love the beat. I think the beat is fire.
When I heard it the first time, I loved it, and then now I even love it more when I've actually had a chance to listen and digest the lyrics, because it's back to the whole. Before we cut out this lot, it's relatable, bro. Whether you're an artist, whether you're a fucking painter, whether you're a fucking... It's relatable, man. Like, you think you're there, but you've still got so far to go. Like,
I couldn't have talked about anything else on that beat, though. That beat is, like, so evocative, and it makes me think of so many... Like, it makes me think of so many things that have influenced, like, my voice. In terms of, like you're saying, that voice that is the relatable voice. So many things that have influenced that in me, I hear just in that beat. That beat sounds like Blade Runner. It sounds like The Warriors. It sounds like Style Wars. It sounds like subway cars. You know, London Underground. It's not, you know what I mean? It's so evocative, and I've always. I don't know if you've clocked this, but the opening track on the Dragon album is very similar to the opening track on Falling Down. No, Falling Down. No, not just the intro joint. True Intention. Very similar to the intro to Falling Down. Where it's like I'm trying to set the scene so that the rest of it makes sense. So that if I end up just going down the road of just saying things that only relate to me, I've given you a wider context to begin with, which is something I take directly from Nas Illmatic. I feel like Nas was the first person to really create this wider, this bigger picture, So then when he goes like super into the detail, it's still relatable because you put it in that setting. You feel like you're in QB with him. You're in New York. If you're not in QB, you're in New York, like looking out of the subway
Periscope
car.
kind of thing,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? You're like dabbling. Like you might go there, real quick and dark, like that kind of thing. So I always tried to do that, and because this album obviously had to open with the concept and the theme. But the second track had to be So Far To Go, because So Far To Go had just become this. It is just a descriptive, like, you know.
This
what
is
I
a
mean?
one-up on Killer, man. You need it. Go and buy it now.
Billy Green is dead.
Billy Green is dead, but he's alive. In the song review, innit?
Alive and well.
He's live and well. Go and get it now. If you don't get it, we're coming round your house, man. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-oh.
Ballied up.
And that's a threat, not a promise.
That's why I duck out.
No, it's a promise, not a threat. You know what I'm saying? Nick, Blatantly Blunt, Micall Parknsun, the one and only.
Thank you for having
Billy
me, man.
Brimstone,
Pleasure.
my brother.
Yes, G.
Go and get it now.
Oh, new co-host, Josiah. Don't sleep.
Don't sleep. My son.
One extra. We want the Josiah shows coming real soon. We're gonna talk. Ed, we're
Josiah
gonna talk.
Parknsun.
You know what I'm saying?